Thank you for being part of the presentation today. Today we're looking at U.S. History Semester A, and we're focusing on Unit 2, the Foundations of the United States, and we will specifically go to the role of religion in the United States tutorial. Please make sure, once again, that you are taking notes as you're navigating through these tutorials, as this will help you when it comes time to taking your tests and when it comes time to doing all of your activities. And the objective for this particular tutorial is that you will analyze the role religion played in the founding of the United States and its lasting impact or effects on religious liberties here in the United States. Let's move on. This is page 7 of the role of religion in the United States tutorial. And in this tutorial, basically, you're answering the following question. In what way did the Quakers of the 1600s and 1700s promote equality? Please make sure that if you're unsure about this, make sure that you go back through the tutorial itself, or you can do online research. If you decide to do online research, make sure that all of what you're writing here is in your own words. Do not copy and paste, because that's plagiarism and your teacher will return the work for you. Do it right the first time, and you should give us a good paragraph here, which is at least 5 good sentences. Let's move on. We are now on page 14 of the role of religion in the United States tutorial. And here we have a fairly simple activity in which you have here basically a box with 3 separate things that you need to look at: religious liberalism, social gospel, and Second Vatican Council. All you're doing is you're grabbing these tiles here and you're moving them to wherever they belong. Once you have them in the correct spot, make sure you hit the submit button for this assignment, and then you can move on to the next activities. Let's move on. We are now on page 18 of the role of religion in the United States tutorial, and we have a lesson activity that we need to do here. In this case, it's religious intolerance. And let's read the directions so you'll know what to do. Read the instruction for this self-check activity, type in your response to each question, and check your answers. At the end of the activity, write a brief evaluation of your work. Activity. Throughout the history of the United States, various religious groups have faced discrimination and persecution. 2 of those groups include Mormons and Catholics. Question 1. Read more about the history of the Mormon. Make sure you click on this and make sure you're actually taking notes when you go to this resource. It's very helpful, as that will get you through these questions here. This particular link here, on top of that, the notes that you've taken previously of this tutorial. But it says, read more about the history of the Mormons. Review all the information for every location of the interactive map which traces the forced migration of the Mormons. Then answer the following question. Part A. Why did the Mormons face trouble with their neighbors in Independence, Missouri? Make sure that, once again, if you've done the reading, if you've done the research that you're required to do here, you should be able to provide a good solid paragraph and explain what happened to the Mormons. I mean, they were a religious group. Remember, here in the United States, we're all about religious liberty and people being able to practice their own religion. But what did the Mormons do that made them look bad and people did not really like their religion? Please give us a good paragraph here. Part B. Why did the Mormon faith come under new attacks while they were settled in Nauvoo, Illinois? Why did the Mormons eventually leave? Again, make sure that you read the original article here, which is right here, and any previous notes that you have taken, as that will help you. And what I would say is you can also look some of this information up online. Just do not copy and paste. Anything that you read, you have to put it in your own words and make sure that you provide a good paragraph here. Let's move on to question number 2. Next, read about anti-Catholic in the United States and answer the following questions. Right here, you have to click on this link. This is your resource. This will get you the answers for the following questions. So make sure you do that. You carefully read the article and you answer these questions. Part A. In what way did loyalty to the United States factor into anti-Catholic sentiment during the 1800s? Again, you have to make sure that you're answering this question based on the information that you have been reviewing so far, and make sure you provide a good solid paragraph. This means that you need to have at least good sentences. Do not give 1 or 2 sentences because that does not provide a solid answer. Part B. How did some Catholics respond to religious discrimination? Were the Catholics happy? Did they do something about it? Did they move to another place, to another city, to another state that was probably more friendly? Please make sure that you provide a solid answer here of at least 5 good sentences. And now let's move on to the last question, which is question 3. After reviewing these 2 sources about Mormons and Catholics, identify 3 major differences between anti-Catholic sentiment and anti-Mormon sentiment. You can label them. These were like the differences between Catholics and Mormons, and make sure that you provide also a good solid paragraph here. This way you're letting your teacher know that you are following through, that you're doing your reading, that you're doing your research, and you should be okay. Let's move on. We are now on page 21 of the Role of Religion in the United States tutorial, and this is another lesson activity, which is separation of church and state. Let's go over to the activity part and see what it's asking us to do. The founding fathers first introduced the idea that religion and government should be separate. These early leaders debated this concept 250 years ago, and we as a nation continue to debate it today. Just how much should the government be involved with religion practices? Part A. Explore the topic of government and religion in the state of Virginia during the 1700s. Then write half-a-page essay to summarize the thoughts of Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and Patrick Henry. How did these views of the subject eventually lead to new laws? Here you need to have at least 3 good solid paragraphs in order to tell us first how did Thomas Jefferson feel about religion. James Madison could be your second paragraph, and lastly Patrick Henry. That's just the way I would probably structure it, but you can do it differently with a formal introduction, and then you do at least 1 body paragraph that talks about what happened, and finally you do a conclusion. Remember, that should be at least half a page, and you should be able to get a good grade for it. Now part B is saying consider issues around prayer in public schools. Then write half-a-page essay to summarize the Supreme Court case of Engle versus Vitale, including a description of the case. Discuss the majority opinion and dissenting opinion, and include your own personal thoughts on the matter. Here you also need to be able to provide at least 3 solid paragraphs. You need to look at this case, and if you do not have enough information yet, you can search it up online. Just make sure you do not copy and paste. Once you have all the information written down, make sure you provide an answer here, and make sure you include your own opinion. Do you agree with the decision? Do you disagree? Do you think the Supreme Court was wrong? And if it was, why? If it was correct in their decision, why was it correct? Please make sure that you're following through on this. Make sure that you put in your best effort in writing, because writing is a skill that the students need to continually develop. Please make sure that you go all the way to page 24 of this tutorial to get basically the best content possible. I will talk to you soon.